Hello class, I'd like to take a few minutes to inform you about how a military base gets new workload. Now these military bases are called depots, and I actually work at an Air Force depot here in Warner Robins. As we all know, the government sets aside a pot of money each year to buy new ships, planes, tanks for the military. The military needs as much of the advanced weaponry as they can get. So there are numerous companies out there who hire the best and brightest engineers to develop newer technology. Now all these planes, ships, tanks at some point in time have to be repaired. It's just like your car. Every so often you need to get your oil changed, and every so often the engine needs to be repaired. It's just something always comes up. The more you use it, the more it needs to be repaired. The government has set aside a pot of money in order to perform these repairs. Now there's a law in place that is called the 50-50 law. It means that all the dollars spent for repair, 50% of it can go to a contractor, while 50% of it needs to go to a depot, a military base. So what happens, some companies, they want to hold on to the work and keep making money for themselves, while there's other companies would rather have their engineers developing newer and newer technology. So some companies are resistant, while other companies are, they're like, okay, go ahead and we'll sell you whatever information you need in order to do that repair. So that's right, a company doesn't just give it over to the government. So in order to get this work and do these repairs, somebody from that military depot has to go to the contracting facility and determine exactly what is needed in order to do that repair. Now it may be some type of equipment to do the work, or it just may be the information written down in a way that the technician at the depot can do the work. Because a lot of times at the contracting facility, the people doing the repair are actually the same engineers who developed the system. So they already have a good idea of how it's supposed to work and how everything interacts with each other. So they don't really have real good step-by-step notes. A lot of it's just in their head because they developed it. So what the base has to do is they have to find a way to get that information from that engineer's head onto a piece of paper in order for the technician to be able to follow it to do those repairs. So during that site visit to a facility, you're gathering information on the equipment, you're gathering information on the tech data, and then everybody comes together and they decide, okay, this is what the missing pieces are in order for the depot to do that repair. So the government comes up with a sum of money to pay that contractor for that information in order to transfer it over to the depot. Now a lot of people will argue and say, well, why don't you just leave it at the contractor facility? Well, there's pros and cons for that. Yes, they already have the equipment and the data, but sometimes companies are bought and sold. Basically they're in business to make a profit. They have people they have to answer to, so they're there to make a profit. So sometimes it's not always in the best interest to leave that workload at a company. It's better to have it in-house to where it can be ran and sustained by the government, by the Department of Defense. So once the workload is tagged that, hey, this workload is coming to a depot, then that process begins. Now Congress has in place laws and regulations to decide which branch of the service will get the workload, and each branch has their own laws and rules about which base within that branch would get the workload. For instance, there are 3 depots within the Air Force. There's Warner Robins, there's Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma City, and there's Ogden Hill Air Force Base in Ogden, Utah. So we're the 3 main depots for the Air Force. Obviously, there's going to always be some type of infighting as far as who gets the workload, but once that decision is made, then you start on working transferring the equipment and the data necessary. Thank you.